Welcome back, everybody, and today we're going to be doing another art challenge. Today's art challenge is going to be the try different styles. So I'm going to be drawing myself in 9 different styles. So all of the styles I've chosen are sort of these cartoony vein of artists. So they're all very different, but they're all still cartoon styles. So we're going to just hop right in here, and the first style that I have chosen is that of Fairly Oddparents. So getting started here in the Fairly Oddparents one, the sort of main artist for Fairly Oddparents is Butch Hartman. He has some other shows that people usually know that kind of follow the same stylistic choices, like Danny Phantom is a good example of one. But when I was a kid, I would watch a lot of Fairly Oddparents. I watched a lot of those sort of like Nickelodeon TV shows, which actually quite a few of these art styles that I'm going to be doing are from Nickelodeon one way or another. Now, what I thought was interesting about sort of the Fairly Oddparents style was that Butch Hartman uses these perfectly circular eyes, so I could kind of just go in with a circle tool and just pull those in instead of having to actually draw them out. And then I went ahead and kept this one sort of similar to like the Timmy Turner from Fairly Oddparents. I guess, you could also say it's like Cosmo, but all of the characters kind of look similar with their different little traits and things. But for all of these drawings, I'm going to be making them sort of myself. So I'm going with my hair color, my eye color, trying to keep it pretty standardy me. But this one was interesting. It was kind of pretty simple, but also difficult in some areas, just in the sense of, like, I'm not sure I ended up liking the eyebrows too much, but that's, neither here nor there, I guess. But it's something that it's all these simple shapes and blocks, but to make it look just right, you really have to think about it. The next style that I chose was Adventure Time, and honestly, this is one of my favorite cartoons. It's just a really good cartoon. I think it's kind of like a good mix between like a good plot line and still keeping it like sort of childish and cartoony. There's not a lot of like cool reference from Adventure Time that's like, humans. There's a arc where Finn and goes and like meets his mom kind of, but she's like a robot or whatever, and meets other humans, but not a lot of that. So I tried to use a Finn reference when he didn't have his hat on, but yeah, a little weird, but ends up being pretty cool. And then the next one that I do is something I'm not sure a lot of people have seen this, but it's a show called Over the Garden Wall. It's kind of a smaller show, I guess, but it's pretty good. This is actually the one that I ended up liking the least out of all of them, but I try to keep with the sort of style of the show. There's only 2 main characters in that show, and they both kind of have these like big round eyes, and then the main one has like a triangle nose, and everything in that show, it's like a cartoon, but everything's like kind of dark and creepy in it. So I try to choose like sort of sickly colors. So like in the show, one of the characters has a teapot or a tea kettle on his head, so I put like just a normal pot on mine because I thought that would kind of fits me and sticks with that kind of weirdness. And then I went ahead and sort of drew out the style wise, but then I chose these like sickly muted colors for everything because that show kind of has this like gross sickly vibe to it where everything's dark and sort of like grim fairy tale-esque. So the next style that I go into is something that I really like, which is Hilda. I've done this one before when I did the sort of Christmas family drawing where I drew my entire family sort of in this style. But for this one, I wanted to go a little different. And on that Christmas drawing, I kind of did like an adult, my actual age version of in this Hilda style, which the adults are usually have like longer heads and are taller and skinnier and stuff like that. So this one I wanted to go with sort of the like kid format that they have in Hilda. So I went ahead and did that. So it's a wider head, more sort of like lumpy hair and stuff like that. I wanted it to be excited and sort of be like a childlike thing. So I ended up really liking this one out of all of them. It's particularly good, and I think it really keeps with sort of the Hilda vibe. So yeah, and then I also give myself a turtleneck because a lot of characters in that show have like warmer clothing or like turtlenecks or scarves and stuff like that. So I went ahead and did that. After that, the next style that I did was a show called Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts, which, again, I'm not sure if many people have seen this one, but it's got an interesting style. It's very angular, so there's like a lot of very sharp lines and stuff like that. the eyes are very like pointed and not really like curved like normal eyes would be, especially in cartoons. So this one I actually, because Kipo's kind of an interesting style and I found it difficult to do. I actually used pretty strongly just a reference from the show to get the basic head structure. So, if you go look at reference, you'll probably find the one I did and be able to see where this came from. But I took the Kipo character, sort of the main character, and edited it to be more, reminiscent of me instead of this like purple person. So yeah, Kipo's got an interesting style though. If you haven't seen the show, I would highly recommend going and watching it. It's an interesting show. It's got some interesting art and just a cool show all around. So yeah, so this one is from Kipo. So the next one that I go into here, and we can see some of all of them together now, but the next one that I go into here is a show called Infinity Train. This one I think is on like HBO Max or something. Yeah. But it's actually book 4, so there's currently 3 seasons of Infinity Train out right now, and book 4 is about to come out. So I thought this one would be a good one to include. I really like this show. It's one of those shows that's like, a cartoon show, but it's pretty dark. In the 3rd season, like a guy just straight and like melts into a skeleton corpse. It gets pretty dark, but the show itself is really good and interesting. It's got a simpler style, yet maybe a little bit more realistic in terms of like head shape and stuff like that. So I went ahead and did me in the style of Infinity Train. So check that one out too. Moving on from Infinity Train, I was trying to think of other styles I could do. So, I've got these 6 and I'm like, oh man, what's 3 more? So there's a show that I watched not too long ago that's a little bit more difficult, but I wanted to try my hand, and that's Young Justice. So this is sort of one of those like one of those superhero Justice League of America TV shows, and it's animated obviously, but it's a good TV show, and they sort of push the boundaries with some things that should be pushed, and I'm glad that they do. And it's an interesting show. It's got a cool art style I really like, and it's a little more difficult though for me. So it's not an art style that I usually do, and it's sort of the same vein of Kipo as to why it's difficult for me. It's got some more angularness to it and a little more detail and some like cell shading. So what I did for this one was I took a character in the show, Bart Allen, which is the Flash's Barry Allen's like grandson from the future or something, and I sort of edited that to be more similar to me again. These ones that I have a harder time with the style, I'm going and I'm using the show pretty hard as a sort of reference material, because these ones I find a little more difficult than the other ones that are maybe a little simpler to do. So yeah, that's Young Justice based on Bart Allen. Moving on to there, I go back to a simpler style, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard of this one, but there's a show called Steven Universe, also a very good show. So I decided, why not do myself on Steven Universe style? It's a pretty simple style, although all of the characters in it are very wildly different. So, the sort of Butch Hartman, Fairly Oddparents thing, all the characters kind of look the same for the most part. In Steven Universe, I don't think there's any 2 characters that really look the same or similar that much. And so I went with a head shape based off of a character in the show called PD, and I made it more like me. I'm also realizing at this point that all of me are kind of like Shaggy Rogers because I've given myself a green shirt, but, that's neither here nor there. I don't do Scooby-Doo in this. So the last one here is also one that I found very difficult at the beginning. I was trying to find reference for it from multiple characters, and I'm going to see if you guys can kind of guess what it is before I say it, but I was trying to find reference for this style from multiple different characters, and I couldn't really choose a character that I wanted to base it off of, and I couldn't really find any good reference for what I wanted to do. So this one ended up being weird for a while until eventually I kind of worked it out. And you see I like completely delete basically everything I have. I don't know if you can guess it from here. Maybe you can. But so yeah, the style that I'm doing here is Avatar the Last Airbender. So this one was interesting. It's more detailed than you'd think it would be, but I kind of started off with like a weird head shape, and I wanted to do like a 3/4 view, and then I was like, nah, that's too hard. I don't know how to do the eyes on that, so I tried again, and I just did a straight on kind of look, and then like a crazy smile thing, because it's me. And then I looked at some different characters with their hair down to try to figure out how to do hair in that show as well. So eventually I think I got it pretty well, and I think you can tell that it is supposed to be Avatar. So, eventually I got there in the end, but it did take me a little while to kind of figure out what I was doing and really make it sort of work. So yeah, and this one also tends to have, I guess, more shading than the other ones I was doing. Turns out it's got sort of multiple layers of cell shading, which the other ones all basically only had one. But here's me. I guess I'm an earthbender because I went with green and brown, but yeah, that's me in the Avatar style. So there we are, 9 different styles, 9 different me's, I guess. I really want to know if you guys like this kind of thing. I think art challenges are kind of fun, and they push me to try out my new skills and try out developing skills. So if you guys like this and you like seeing things like this, or have any suggestions, then please let me know. I thought this one was really fun, and I hope that you did too. So yeah, just let me know in the comments below any ideas you have, future videos you might want to see, and hopefully very soon I'm going to be putting out multiple different build videos. So I'm hoping that the weeks to come can be more maker and build centric, but we will also be doing art obviously on this channel. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a nice day. As always, thanks for watching this video, and remember to like, subscribe, and share with your family, your friends, and that weird neighbor down the street. Also, if you like what I do here, be sure to check out my Patreon to help out. And until next time, I hope everyone has a nice day.